Hello docs, I'm with you right now for Technique 2. And I thought today would be really great to go over the Webster Technique and a little bit about the history of Dr. Larry Webster. Dr. Larry Webster, an amazing family wellness chiropractor. As a matter of fact, in my textbook, I called him the grandfather of chiropractic pediatrics, and he loved being called that. And he always says, you know what, Dr. Honrig, you were the one that named me that, and I'm historically going to keep that name. But what made Larry really a unique chiropractor was that he went to Logan Chiropractic College and learned the Logan technique. And they really do, and still do to this day, specialize in the care of the sacrum and very specific adjusting to the sacrum itself. Larry Webster started taking care of a lot of pregnant women, and as a result of it, he saw that some women had issues with giving birth and ended up having either traumatic birth with the child, and or these women ended up with C-sections. And so Dr. Webster decided, you know what, I got to find an answer to that. And so he went back to his chiropractic drawing board and took a look at the sacrum and the position of the sacrum, and he realized if I could specifically analyze the sacrum, give a specific chiropractic adjustment, and then he did a little ligament work, that he found that babies would actually flip over and go head down. So what Larry Webster called this technique was the Webster breech turning technique, because he thought that babies were in a breech position. That means the head was up and the rear end was down. Dr. Webster started teaching his seminars to doctors of chiropractic. He went to Life University, and he was a director of the downtown clinic, teaching the technique to student doctors there and also teaching it in the classroom. And when Larry and I became best friends when I was a student at Life University, he said, you know what, Dr. Claudia, and we were best friends, he said, you know what, I need to get the technique out. Let's do this with an ICPA certification program. So Dr. Webster and I started the ICPA program, and there were 3 people in those techniques that were given permission to teach the Webster technique. It was Larry Webster himself, myself, and Dr. Judy Forster from Calgary. And she has an amazing prenatal practice. As a matter of fact, she's wrote chapters in her textbook, and her work is being used all over the world. So what happens now with the Webster technique, it's starting to really get a lot of traction. And as a matter of fact, when I got a chance to write a chapter in my first book by Dr. Greg Plogger, I did it on pregnancy, and I did that as well, not only with pregnancy, but I did that with pediatrics. So I asked Dr. Webster his permission to show the technique in the textbook, and he gave me a yes on that. However, I noted to him that, you know what, the babies are more than in a breech position. They can be transverse lie, they can be face or brow. Do I have permission to change your technique name over from the Webster breech turning technique to the Webster in utero constraint technique? And he said yes to that. And so in the purple textbook, the name of his technique was changed. However, it was shortened later on after his death, calling it the Webster Technique, which is a great name for it as well. So Dr. Webster gave us permission to use the technique all the way back in 1992, and then in our first edition of Pediatric Chiropractic Textbook, where we dedicated this book to him after his passing, again, his technique, his chapter, he gave us permission to use this in our chapter here, and then we used it, again, following up in our second edition Pediatric Chiropractic Textbook. So since the 1990s, it's been taught not only by Dr. Webster, but the 2 people he actually gave permission to teach his technique at seminars and to put it in writing was myself and Dr. Judy Forster. So I thought, as a profession, many of you will never have a chance to meet our dear friend Dr. Larry Webster. I wanted to give you a little insight on the amazing grandfather of pediatric chiropractic and his amazing Webster technique.